A human wants to be with both of us so that new life can be born. Elias floated in the observation deck of the starship Pioneer, staring at the galaxy stretched before him like a painting of infinite colors. Stars glimmered in patterns he had never seen, distant suns casting their faint light across the void. Humans had come far from Earth, but nothing in the history books or simulations could have prepared him for what awaited at the edge of the Altherian sector. The mission had seemed simple when it began: serve as an ambassador, observe alien civilizations, and find ways to collaborate for the greater good of humanity. Yet now, as the ship approached the twin worlds of Lear and Xanthara, Elias realized that this was not going to be simple at all. These two alien civilizations had been rivals for centuries, each fiercely protective of its knowledge and secrets. But there was something both sides needed, something that humans uniquely could provide. A soft chime alerted him that they were entering Lyran space. Elias straightened, adjusting his uniform. The Lyrans had always fascinated him. Their bodies were tall and lithe, with skin that shimmered faintly in low light. Their minds were precise and logical, their cities built like crystalline fortresses floating in orbit. Every surface seemed to hum with energy, as if the very walls held knowledge within them. "Ambassador Elias," said a voice from behind. He turned to see Commander Velis, the human liaison officer. "We are entering the Lyran approach corridor. You will be greeted shortly." Elias nodded. "Thank you, Commander. I hope they are as welcoming as they promised." Velis gave a faint smile. "I hope so too. Remember, they have their pride, and they will test you. But if anyone can bridge the gap, it's you." Elias's heart beat a little faster. He had always believed in humanity's ability to adapt and to solve problems in ways others could not. Humans were not the strongest, nor the most technologically advanced. But they were flexible, curious, persistent, and sometimes persistence could bend the will of even the most stubborn civilizations. The starship glided through the corridor, magnetic fields softly guiding them toward the Lyran orbital station. The station itself was a marvel, a lattice of translucent towers reaching into the blackness of space. As they docked, Elias felt a thrill of excitement. This was history in the making. The doors opened and he stepped onto the polished floor of the station. Lyrans moved gracefully around him, their long limbs and glowing eyes giving an impression of intelligence almost beyond comprehension. One of them approached him, a tall figure with silver markings along its skin. "Ambassador Elias." The being said, its voice resonating like music. "I am Kylan of the Lyran Council. We have been expecting you." Elias bowed slightly. "It is an honor to be here, Kylan. I hope we can find common ground that benefits all our species." Kylan inclined its head. "We shall see. Your kind has a reputation for creativity, but also for unpredictability. We are curious to see how it manifests here." Before Elias could respond, a projection flickered in front of him. Another alien appeared, smaller, more compact, with a body that seemed to shimmer with energy rather than solid form. "Greetings, human," said the being. "I am Thara of the Xanthari. Your arrival was anticipated. We, too, hope you prove worthy of collaboration." Elias's mind raced. Two alien species, each powerful in their own right, both curious about him, both wary, both necessary for the success of his mission. And yet, he realized, they might never cooperate unless he could find a way to unite them. Kylan and Thera exchanged a brief, tense glance. It was subtle, but Elias caught the flicker of rivalry. They had not yet learned to trust each other fully, despite their common goal. The goal itself was extraordinary, a planet in a nearby system. Harsh and unyielding, capable of supporting life but only with guidance. Both the Lyrans and Xanthari had been working for decades to create new forms of life that could survive there. But neither had succeeded. Elias swallowed, feeling the weight of responsibility settle over him. "I understand that both of you have different approaches," he said carefully. "But I believe that if we combine your knowledge, we can succeed. And I can help." Kylan's eyes narrowed. "And why would a human think it can guide such a process?" "Because humans do not think in limits," Elias replied. We improvise. We adapt. We find solutions when there seem to be none. Alone, I may not be enough, but together, with both of your knowledge, I can help create something neither of you could achieve alone. Thera's energy shimmer pulsed faintly. You are bold, human, and perhaps foolish, but boldness is required for creation. Kylan inclined its head slightly. We shall test your claim. You may assist, but you will follow our instructions closely. Any misstep could destroy what we have worked so hard to achieve. Elias nodded solemnly. I understand. I only ask for the chance to prove that humans are capable of more than you might expect. The three of them moved to the central lab, a vast room filled with devices that Elias could barely comprehend. Lyrans had instruments that manipulated DNA with absolute precision. Zenthari used energy fields to shape life at a molecular level. The combination was dizzying, and for a moment, Elias felt out of his depth. Kylan gestured to a console. Observe. Our work is advanced. You may watch, but do not interfere yet. Elias leaned forward, fascinated. He saw cells growing and merging, energy fields dancing in perfect harmony with genetic sequences. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. He realized that the challenge was not just scientific, it was a test of patience, of understanding, and of trust. Hours passed as he observed, asking questions when permitted. Slowly, the tension between the Lyrans and Zenthari softened, as Elias's questions demonstrated insight and creativity. He suggested subtle adjustments, ideas that neither species had considered, and to his surprise, both Kylan and Thera listened. By the end of the day, a small, glowing organism rested in the containment field. It pulsed with life, fragile but strong, a symbol of possibility. Elias felt a rush of pride. This was the first hybrid experiment combining the Lyrans' precision and the Zenthari's energy manipulation. Kylan turned to him. You have potential, human. But this is only the beginning. The real challenge lies ahead. Thara's shimmer pulsed in agreement. The planet awaits, and it will not wait kindly. Only unity will allow life to survive there. Elias knew they were right. The creation of new life was not merely about science, it was about cooperation, understanding, and courage. He looked at the two alien beings and felt something that surprised him. Hope. Not just for the project, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. He realized that humans had something neither species could replicate: the ability to see connections where none seemed to exist, to adapt, to learn quickly, and to act with both heart and mind. He would need all of these qualities for the mission ahead. As the lab lights dimmed for the night cycle, Elias lingered near the containment field, watching the tiny organism pulse with life. It was small, but it represented something vast. A new beginning. A chance for collaboration that could change the future of multiple species. And it had begun because one human had dared to believe that he could work with both sides, not against them. Outside the lab, the twin suns of Lyran space cast their light across the station, illuminating a galaxy full of possibilities. Elias took a deep breath. Tomorrow, the real journey would begin. The exoplanet awaited, harsh and unyielding, a canvas for new life. And he would be at the center of it all, a human among gods, bridging worlds, creating a future no one else could imagine. For the first time, Elias felt the weight of his species' potential pressing on his shoulders, not as a burden but as an opportunity. Humanity had arrived, not as conquerors, not as imitators, but as creators. And he would ensure that the galaxy remembered it. The night cycle ended, and with it came a soft hum through the station. The experiment pulsed faintly, as if acknowledging him. Elias smiled, feeling a quiet certainty settle in his chest. The path ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges, conflicts, and tests that he could not yet foresee. But he knew one truth that anchored him. Humans could do what others could not. And this was only the beginning. The journey to the exoplanet was longer than Elias had imagined. The Starship Pioneer glided through the empty darkness, engines humming quietly as it carried the fragile hope of 3 civilizations. Beside him, Kylan and Thera, observed the navigation systems with meticulous care. Their different approaches creating a subtle tension in the control room. Elias knew that the real work would not begin until they landed, but even now, the air was thick with anticipation. Human, Thera's voice pulsed softly. You will need to understand our methods if you hope to contribute meaningfully. Lyrans think in sequences and structure. Xanthari think in energies and harmonics. Both are precise. You are something else entirely. Elias smiled faintly. That's what I've been trying to explain. I don't follow your rules exactly, but maybe that's an advantage. I see solutions you might miss because I'm not bound by your limitations. Kylan tilted its head. We will see if that is true. Adaptation alone will not create life on a hostile planet. Precision is required. Elias leaned back in his chair, watching the stars streak past the viewport. I know. But sometimes precision alone isn't enough. Life, real life, needs more than rules. It needs imagination. The two aliens exchanged a glance, subtle but significant. Elias felt a tiny surge of pride. He had been underestimated, and yet he could already sense the cracks in their rigid certainty. Humans had a way of surprising those who expected them to fail. Days passed as the ship approached the exoplanet, a frozen and stormy world orbiting a distant sun. The planet's surface was covered in jagged rocks and swirling clouds of gas, making it clear that survival here would require ingenuity, cooperation, and careful planning. The Lyrians prepared biosuits to manipulate the harsh terrain, while the Xanthari tuned energy fields that would shield the new life they hoped to introduce. Elias studied both methods carefully. He noticed something that neither Kylan nor Thera had mentioned. The Lyran suits were extremely precise but fragile, prone to failure under unexpected conditions. The Xanthari shields were powerful but consumed vast amounts of energy and required constant adjustments. There's a pattern, Leah said aloud, tracing a finger over his tablet as he analyzed data. The Lyran method is strong but brittle. The Xanthari method is flexible but drains itself quickly. If we combine the two, we might get a system that's both resilient and adaptive. Kylan's eyes narrowed. Explain. Elias leaned forward, pointing at the screen. We let the Lyrans handle the core structure, exact DNA sequencing, and biostability. Then, we let the Xanthari energy fields interact with it, but only in bursts, only where adaptation is required. The energy supports growth, but doesn't consume resources unnecessarily. The life form can respond to the environment without collapsing. Thera shimmered faintly, a sign of thought. Interesting. Most would not consider combining methods this way. Efficiency through balance. It is. Human. Elias felt a thrill of excitement. Exactly. Humans are good at combining things that don't seem compatible. That's how we survive. That's how we innovate. Kylan studied him carefully. We will test your theory. But know this. Failure is not an option. A miscalculation could destroy everything, including the new life we hope to create. The day of landing came swiftly. The Pioneer descended through the planet's stormy atmosphere, shaking as high winds buffeted the hull. Elias gripped the console as lightning arcs danced across the dark clouds outside. He had felt danger before, but this was different. Here, failure meant not just harm to humans, but to alien civilizations and the fragile life they hoped to bring into existence, finally. The ship touched down on a jagged plateau, dust and debris rising around them. The planet's surface was unwelcoming, but beneath its harsh exterior, Elias sensed possibility. We proceed, Kylan said, voice steady. Human, you will accompany us. Observe, learn, and contribute where possible. Elias nodded. I'm ready. The trio stepped onto the rocky terrain, and Elias felt a strange mixture of awe and fear. The planet was alive in its own way. Winds screamed like distant drums, and the ground vibrated beneath their feet. It was beautiful and terrifying, a reminder that life would not come easily here. Over the next several days, they began their work. Elias watched as the Lyrans prepared genetic sequences in their lab equipment, extracting samples from hardy native plants and bacteria, stabilizing them for hybridization. Thera manipulated energy currents to support growth, guiding patterns that no human could see without aid. Elias felt both intimidated and inspired. Then he noticed something. The Lyran sequences, while perfect, were too rigid. Under the planet's fluctuating conditions, even a tiny change could destroy them. The Zenthari currents, while protective, sometimes overwhelmed the delicate structures. Elias stepped forward. Wait, what if we time the energy bursts differently? Not constant, but impulses that match the planet's natural cycles. That way, the hybrid life can adapt instead of collapsing. Kylan's eyes widened. You think you can synchronize with the planet itself? Elias nodded. I can try. Humans are good at patterns. We notice things others might miss. Thera pulsed, a sign of approval. Human ingenuity. It may save us yet. The first attempt was tense. Elias guided the timing of the energy bursts while the Lyran stabilized the genetic sequences. The organism wavered at first, flickering like a weak flame. But then, slowly, it pulsed steadily, absorbing energy and growing stronger. It was working. Kylan spoke softly. You were right. The hybrid is responding. It is thriving. Elias felt a rush of pride. It's just the beginning. But it proves that we can combine what seemed incompatible. That's the key to survival here. As days passed, the hybrid life evolved. It began to display rudimentary movement, responding to environmental changes in ways neither the Lyrans nor Zenthari had anticipated. Elias realized that the creature was learning, adapting, even beginning to make choices. This is incredible, Thera said, her energy shifting with wonder. It is as if the planet itself cooperates with this new life. Kylan's tone was cautious, but admiring. It seems the human element was necessary. We would not have succeeded without you. Elias smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. Humans were not the strongest, nor the most advanced, but their creativity and adaptability could shape the future. Here, on this harsh, stormy world, he had proven that humanity could contribute something no other species could, the ability to unite differences and create life where it seemed impossible. But the challenges were not over. The planet's storms were growing stronger, and Elias could sense the pressure building. The hybrid life was still fragile, and one misstep could undo all their work. He worked tirelessly alongside Kylan and Thera, adjusting, correcting, and experimenting. One evening, as they monitored the hybrid's growth, Elias noticed a faint signal in the planet's energy patterns. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it pulsed with intent. He shared his observation. Kylan frowned. That is unusual. We have never detected intelligent energy here. Thera pulsed in agreement. Perhaps the planet itself possesses awareness. It may be testing us, observing our methods. Elias's heart raced. If it's intelligent, maybe it recognizes humans in a way it doesn't recognize other species. Maybe it responds to creativity, flexibility, and cooperation. Kylan and Thera exchanged glances, both filled with a mix of skepticism and awe. Then we must proceed carefully, Kylan said. If the planet's awareness reacts negatively, it could endanger the hybrid. Elias nodded. We'll adapt. That's what humans do. The next several cycles were a delicate dance. Elias timed energy pulses to harmonize with the planet's subtle rhythms. The Lyrans maintained genetic stability, and the Zenthari guided energy flows to nurture growth. Slowly, the hybrid began to flourish. It moved with purpose, responding to environmental changes with intelligence that seemed almost conscious. This is more than creation, Thera said, her voice almost reverent. This is communion. We are witnessing the birth of life that connects species, planet, and perhaps even consciousness itself. Kylan's expression softened. And the human. You were the bridge. Without you, this unity could not have happened. Elias felt a swell of pride. He realized that humanity had a unique role in the galaxy, not to dominate, but to unite, to adapt, and to create where others could not. Here, on a hostile world, humans were proving that intelligence and imagination could shape reality itself as the first full day ended. The hybrid pulsed with steady life. Elias watched it, thinking about the future. If this experiment succeeded, it could serve as a model for interspecies collaboration across the galaxy. Humanity had begun to prove its worth, not through war or conquest, but through ingenuity, compassion, and the courage to work with those who were once rivals. Outside, the storm clouds of the exoplanet swirled endlessly. But inside, a fragile spark of life glowed, a symbol of what could be achieved when humans dared to unite what others had thought impossible. And Elias knew, deep in his heart, that this was only the beginning. Elias woke to the low hum of the hybrid life's energy field. The planet's storms had intensified overnight, and the Pioneer trembled slightly as the winds shifted violently against its hull. Yet inside the containment area, the hybrid organism pulsed steadily, as if aware of its surroundings. Elias felt a surge of hope. It had survived the harsh night, proving that his theories, risky as they were beginning to work. Kylan entered the room silently, its crystalline skin reflecting the soft lights of the lab. "The storms are worsening," it said. "We may need to accelerate the hybrid's adaptation. If it cannot adjust quickly, it may perish." Elias nodded. "I've been thinking about that. The hybrid is responding to our energy pulses, but only partially. I think we need to let it learn from the environment itself, not just control it. Let it experience small risks and adapt." Thera's form shimmered. "You propose? Letting it face danger intentionally?" "Yes," Elias said. "Controlled danger. It will teach resilience, something no perfect calculation can provide." Kylan hesitated, clearly uneasy. "Risk is not our method. But perhaps your approach can work. Carefully human. Every decision counts." Elias smiled faintly. "Every decision counts, always. That's human survival in a nutshell." They moved outside to the exoplanet's surface. The storm raged above them, lightning splitting the dark clouds, winds twisting rock and dust. Elias watched as Kylan deployed protective fields, stabilizing zones of the terrain for the hybrid to explore. Thera guided energy patterns around the organism, creating pathways for it to move and grow. Elias stayed close, observing, and occasionally suggesting adjustments based on instinct and intuition rather than strict calculations. The hybrid pulsed brighter as it moved, tentacles of energy and biomatter extending carefully across the rocks. It reacted to the planet's uneven terrain, retreating when a sharp gust hit and advancing when the wind eased. Elias felt a thrill of pride. It was learning, adapting, just as he had predicted, hours later. As they returned to the lab, a sudden tremor shook the ground. The hybrid flickered, energy dispersing in unstable bursts. Elias's heart pounded. The planet was testing them, testing the hybrid, testing his decisions. "Steady," he murmured, placing his hands on the containment field controls. He adjusted the timing of energy pulses, creating a rhythm that mimicked the planet's vibrations. Slowly, the hybrid stabilized, glowing with renewed strength. Kylan's eyes widened. "You read the planet's signals." "Instinctively. Humans may indeed possess a skill we lack." Thara's energy shimmered warmly. "It is remarkable. Adaptation through understanding rather than control. This hybrid may survive where our methods alone would fail." Elias felt a deep sense of accomplishment, but he knew the success was fragile. The hybrid was growing, yes, but the planet was unpredictable. The storms could worsen, the energy fields could falter, or the hybrid might reach a stage of growth that neither the Lyrans nor the Zenthari could manage. Days passed in a tense rhythm of observation and careful experimentation. Elias discovered patterns in the planet's energy that even the aliens had overlooked. Tiny pulses, barely noticeable, shifted in predictable cycles. By syncing the hybrid's development with these cycles, he found that it could conserve energy, grow stronger, and react to environmental challenges without external assistance. "This is incredible," Thera said. One evening, her form radiating gentle light. "It is learning to survive on its own. It is independent." Elias nodded. Yes, and that independence is what will allow it to thrive long term. We can guide it, but eventually, it must make its own adjustments. Kylan remained silent for a moment, then said, Your approach is unconventional, but it works. Humans may not have our precision, but your flexibility. It is powerful. Elias smiled. Thank you. We've learned something from each other. That's how humans grow. That's how we help others grow. But their success drew attention in ways they had not anticipated. The Lyran and Xanthari councils had been monitoring progress from afar, and reports of the hybrid's unexpected adaptation reached the ears of more conservative factions. Some viewed the humans' influence as reckless, a threat to established authority. One morning, as Elias was analyzing the hybrid's growth data, an alert flashed on the lab console. Unauthorized energy fluctuations were detected nearby. Kylan and Thera stiffened. They're here, Kylan said. Rogue elements. They wish to sabotage our work. Elias felt a chill, but he stood firm. We can't let them stop this. The hybrid's survival depends on unity, not division. We have to act fast. The rogue faction arrived swiftly. A mix of Lyrans and Xanthari loyalists, who had never trusted humans or the hybrid project. They moved with precision, attempting to override the energy fields and destabilize the containment unit. Elias acted instinctively, using both his observations and improvisation. He rerouted energy flows, creating temporary barriers while Kylan stabilized the hybrid's core sequences. Thera pulsed energy waves, guiding the rogue forces away from critical systems. Elias realized that brute force would not work. He needed strategy. Using a combination of human intuition and his growing understanding of alien technology, he created a feedback loop that redirected the rogues' interference into harmless patterns. Neutralizing their sabotage without harming anyone, Kylan and Thera watched, stunned. You did not rely on strength, Kylan said. You relied on creativity, that is. Human. Elias nodded, catching his breath. Strength alone never solves these problems. Understanding does. Adaptation does. That's why humans survive in impossible conditions. The hybrid pulsed steadily again, responding to Elias's adjustments. It seemed to acknowledge him, moving in patterns that hinted at recognition. Elias felt a quiet awe. Life had a way of teaching respect to those who guided it with care, as the planet's storms subsided temporarily. Elias, Kylan, and Thera took a moment to reflect. The hybrid was no longer just an experiment. It was a new entity, a symbol of what could happen when differences were bridged. When knowledge and creativity were combined, this is only the beginning, Elias said softly. We've proved that life can survive here. But there's so much more to explore, so much more it can learn. Thara's energy pulsed with agreement, and it will learn from all three of us. It carries the mark of our species and the guidance of a human. Perhaps it is the first of many that can bridge worlds in this way. Kylan's tone was quieter than before, filled with a rare warmth. You have changed our perspective, human. We now see that cooperation, guided by insight and flexibility, can achieve what we alone could not. Humanity may have a place in this galaxy we did not fully comprehend. Elias felt a surge of pride. He realized that humans were not just observers of the universe. They could be catalysts, connectors, creators. Here, on a hostile planet at the edge of known space, he had demonstrated the power of human ingenuity and collaboration. But the challenges were far from over. Elias knew that the hybrid's growth would continue to attract attention, that other factions might try to control or destroy it. He also understood that the planet itself might test them further. Its intelligence, subtle but present, seemed to watch, almost as if evaluating not just the hybrid, but all who had touched its surface. Elias returned to the lab late one night. Studying the hybrid as it pulsed with steady energy, he marveled at its resilience, its ability to learn and adapt. It reminded him of humanity itself, persistent, creative, and full of potential. We've done something extraordinary, he whispered, and it's only possible because we worked together, because we combined what seemed impossible, because we believed we could succeed where others would fail. The hybrid pulsed in response, almost as if acknowledging him. Elias smiled. It was a small gesture, but it carried a weight of promise. Life, no matter how fragile at first, could flourish when nurtured with care, creativity, and courage. Outside, the planet's clouds shifted, revealing glimpses of distant suns. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the infinite possibilities stretching before them. Humanity had proven itself not by domination, but by ingenuity, adaptability, and the courage to unite with others, and the hybrid life continued to grow. A living testament to what could be achieved when differences were bridged and knowledge was shared. Elias knew that the next challenges would be even greater. The planet would test them, rogue factions would return, and the hybrid itself would reach stages of growth that required decisions none of them could fully predict. But he was ready, because humans were never defeated by the unknown. They thrived on it. They adapted. They created. And here, at the edge of the galaxy, Elias had proved that once again. The exoplanet's storms had calmed, but the environment remained harsh and unpredictable. Elias walked along the rocky plateau, his eyes scanning the jagged landscape. He felt a strange connection to the world now, almost as if it had accepted his presence. The hybrid life form pulsed gently nearby, its energy patterns mingling with the planet's subtle rhythms. It had grown stronger, more adaptive, and Elias could see signs of intelligence in its movements. Every pulse, every shift of its form seemed to convey curiosity, awareness, and even a sense of purpose. Kylan followed silently, their crystalline skin reflecting the planet's pale light. The hybrid is exceeding our expectations, they said. Yet there is still risk. This planet tests all who inhabit it, and we have yet to understand its full potential. Thera shimmered in agreement, her energy flowing smoothly around them. The life responds not only to us, but to the planet itself. Its growth is intertwined with the world. We must remain vigilant, Elias nodded. I understand. But I also think it's ready for more. It has learned resilience. It can face challenges without constant guidance. We just need to provide direction when necessary. Kylan and Thera studied him carefully. You trust instinct over protocol, Kylan said. This is dangerous, but perhaps this is what humanity is capable of. You rely on intuition, adaptation, and observation. Unlike us, you embrace the unpredictable. Elias smiled faintly. That's how humans survive. That's how we thrive. Sometimes the universe throws something at you that you can't calculate. You adjust. You learn. You keep moving forward. Their work over the next few days focused on preparing the hybrid for the planet's harsher zones. Elias observed how it navigated rocky slopes, avoided shifting energy vents, and responded to sudden gusts of wind. It was growing not just physically but mentally, learning from every encounter. One morning a tremor shook the plateau. The hybrid staggered, energy flickering unevenly. Elias rushed forward, analyzing the readings. The planet is testing it again, he said. We need to adjust the timing of our energy flows. We can't control everything, but we can help it adapt. Kylan and Thera moved to assist, but Elias directed them. Lyran, stabilize its core sequences. Zenthari, modulate the surrounding energy fields. I'll coordinate the timing with the planet's cycles. The work was tense. Lightning arced across distant cliffs, winds tore at their protective suits, and the ground shivered beneath them. Yet Elias stayed calm, relying on observation and intuition. Slowly, the hybrid regained stability, its pulse brightening, its movement steady. It had learned, and so had the team. Thara's energy shimmered softly. The hybrid is evolving beyond our original design. Its resilience is remarkable, Kyla nodded. Yes, and the human. Your input has been critical. Without you, it would not have survived this trial. Elias felt a surge of pride, but he knew their work was far from over. The hybrid's growth would attract attention not just from the planet, but from factions within the Lyran and Zenthari councils, who still mistrusted human influence. That night, as the team reviewed data in the lab, Alerts flashed across the console. Rogue forces were approaching again, moving faster than before, using stealth technologies designed to bypass detection. Elias's heart pounded, but he stood firm. We can't let them interfere. The hybrid is ready for challenges, but it cannot survive sabotage. Kylan's voice was tense. They may attempt to disrupt energy flows, destabilize genetic sequences, or even capture the hybrid. We must act swiftly, Elias thought quickly. We don't have to fight them directly. We need strategy. Distraction, redirection, containment. He outlined a plan, using the hybrid's own adaptive abilities as part of the defense. By creating temporary energy decoys and subtly shifting its location, he could outmaneuver the intruders without harm. The rogue forces arrived in the middle of the storm, but Elias's plan worked. The hybrid's energy pulses created illusions, leading the intruders into harmless zones. Kylan and Thera coordinated with him, maintaining the protective fields and stabilizing the organism. Within hours, the threat was neutralized, and the hybrid remained unharmed. Kylan's voice was filled with rare warmth. You were correct, human. Creativity and adaptability won the day, not force alone. This is impressive. Thera's energy shimmered with approval. The hybrid recognizes you as part of its guidance network. It responds to your presence, learns from your decisions. This connection is extraordinary. Elias felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Humans had proven something essential, that intelligence, adaptability, and courage could bridge gaps where technology or power alone might fail. They had created life that could survive, thrive, and even learn in conditions that no one species could handle alone. Over the next cycles, the hybrid continued to evolve. Its movements became more deliberate, energy pulses more complex, and it began to interact with the environment in subtle ways, adjusting the flow of water, redirecting energy currents, and even signaling small changes in its surroundings. Elias marveled at its intelligence. This is beyond anything we predicted, Kylan said quietly. It is not only surviving, it is improving its environment, shaping it to fit its growth. It is remarkable. Thera pulsed gently. It is a testament to cooperation. Lyran precision, Xanthari energy, and human ingenuity. Together we have created life capable of adapting to one of the harshest planets known. Elias watched the hybrid move across the rocky plateau. He realized that this project was no longer just about creating life. It was about creating a future. The hybrid represented a bridge between species, a living example of what could happen when differences were set aside and combined toward a common goal. But the exoplanet had one. Final test. A sudden quake shook the plateau violently, splitting the ground and sending jagged rocks tumbling. The hybrid faltered, struggling to maintain its energy balance. Elias acted instinctively, coordinating Lyran and Xanthari support while guiding the organism's own adaptive responses. For the first time, he let it make a critical decision on its own. Trust yourself, he whispered. You can do this. The hybrid pulsed brightly, extending energy tendrils to stabilize its form. It shifted dynamically, adjusting to the quake with a precision that surprised even Kylan and Thera. Slowly, it regained stability. Moving with deliberate purpose across the broken terrain, Kylan's crystalline skin reflected the fading light. It survived, and on its own. Remarkable. Thera's energy flowed smoothly, almost reverently. It has achieved independence in a way we did not anticipate. The planet tested it, and it responded. This is unprecedented. Elias smiled faintly, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. Humanity had once again proven that ingenuity, creativity, and adaptability could overcome challenges that others deemed insurmountable. But he also understood that this was only the beginning. The hybrid's growth would continue, and with it, new challenges would emerge. Factions within the alien councils would continue to test them, and the planet itself would present unpredictable trials. Yet Elias felt confident. Humans thrived in the face of uncertainty. They adapted, learned, and persevered. And here on this distant world, he had proven that humanity's potential was more than strength or technology, was the courage to unite, the creativity to innovate, and the wisdom to know when to guide and when to let life itself lead. As the storm clouds cleared, Elias stood beside the hybrid, watching the first light of the distant sun illuminate the plateau. The organism pulsed steadily, energy flowing through it like a heartbeat. A living testament to what could be achieved when species set aside rivalry and worked together. Kylan and Thera joined him silently, their presence a quiet acknowledgement of the human's contribution. Elias placed a hand near the hybrid's energy field, feeling a connection that went beyond understanding. It was life, yes, but also something more, a symbol of hope, unity, and the limitless potential of creation. "This is what we came for," Elias said softly. "Not just survival, not just science, but the chance to create something new, to leave a mark on the galaxy that only humans, with our ability to adapt and imagine, could make possible." The hybrid pulsed in response, almost as if agreeing. Elias knew that the road ahead would be difficult. The next stages of growth would test them all in ways they could not yet predict. But for the first time, he felt certain that humanity was ready. Not alone, but in partnership, as a bridge between species, capable of achieving the impossible. And on this storm-battered world, the hybrid's glow grew brighter, a living symbol of unity, resilience, and the power of human ingenuity. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility. The planet had tested them, the hybrid had learned, and humanity had proven its worth. But the greatest challenges were yet to come. He was ready to face them, because humans always were. The planet's storms had calmed completely, leaving a pale, quiet light across the rocky surface. Elias stood beside the hybrid, watching it move gracefully over the plateau. Its form pulsed with intelligence and energy, a perfect balance of Lyron precision, Xanthari adaptability, and human ingenuity. It had grown far beyond the fragile creature that had first emerged in the lab. Now it moved with purpose, exploring, adapting, responding to the planet as if it belonged there. Kylan observed from a nearby ridge, their crystalline form glowing softly. "It has surpassed our expectations," they said. "I had doubted the human approach at first, but now it is clear. Without you, Elias, this life could not have reached this stage." Thera shimmered, her energy flowing smoothly around them. "It is independent. It adapts, responds, and even improves its environment. The hybrid has become a symbol not only of life, but of cooperation." Elias smiled, feeling pride swell in his chest. "It is proof that different species can work together, that life doesn't belong to one species or one method, it belongs to anyone willing to nurture it." Right. The hybrid paused, lifting a tendril toward Elias. Its energy pulses seemed to synchronize with his heartbeat. A silent acknowledgement of the connection he had helped create. Elias reached out and placed a hand near it. He felt warmth, not physical warmth, but a deep, resonant energy that reminded him of why humans had survived and thrived for so long. Kylan approached. "We must consider the next stage. The hybrid is ready to interact with its environment fully. It will explore the planet, adapt further, and perhaps prepare for others like it." Elias nodded. "I agree, but we need to ensure the planet itself supports it. We've learned that it has a subtle intelligence. If we work with it, we can help the hybrid not just survive, but thrive." Thera's shimmer pulsed brightly. "It is remarkable. The human element has allowed us to succeed where we alone could not. Perhaps this is what the galaxy needs, a species that can unite what others cannot." As they prepared the hybrid for broader exploration, an unexpected transmission reached the Pioneer. It was from the Lyran and Xanthari councils, who had been monitoring their progress. Their message was cautious at first, but quickly shifted to one of acknowledgement. "You have done what neither of our species could achieve alone," the transmission said. "The hybrid is alive, adaptive, and intelligent. The human contribution has proven invaluable. We recognize your efforts, Elias, and we acknowledge humanity as a vital participant in the future of this galaxy." Elias's chest tightened. Humans had long been considered inexperienced and impulsive by many alien civilizations. Yet here, on the edge of the known galaxy, he had demonstrated something unique, the ability to unite, to adapt, and to create life in impossible conditions. Kylan and Thara's presence beside him reinforced the moment. "You have changed perceptions," Kylan said. "Not just of humans, but of cooperation itself. Others will see that life, knowledge, and ingenuity belong to anyone willing to work together." The hybrid moved forward, exploring the surrounding terrain. Elias followed closely, observing how it interacted with the environment. It adjusted water flows, shifted energy fields, and even created small, protective zones around delicate patches of native vegetation. It was learning, improving, and shaping its world, just as Elias had hoped. "This is more than survival," Elias said softly. "It's creation. It's civilization in miniature. And it all started because we chose to work together, not apart." Kylan's voice carried a rare note of admiration. "Humans. Your creativity, your courage, your willingness to embrace the unpredictable. It is extraordinary. Perhaps it is what will shape the future of life across the galaxy." Thera pulsed in agreement. In the hybrid, it will carry this lesson forward. It is the first of its kind, a bridge between species, a testament to the power of collaboration. Over the following cycles, the hybrid expanded its territory. It interacted with the planet's natural systems, improving stability in volatile areas and creating safe zones for potential future life forms. Elias watched as it pulsed brightly, its energy resonating with the planet itself. There was harmony here, a balance between intelligence, environment, and life that no one species could have achieved alone. One morning, as the trio surveyed the hybrid from a ridge, a small group of native creatures appeared. They had survived the harsh conditions of the exoplanet independently, but they had been struggling. The hybrid approached gently, guiding them toward safer areas and even sharing energy patterns that stabilized their movements. Elias realized with awe that life on this planet was beginning to form a network of community. Kylan's voice was calm, thoughtful. "It is creating society, cooperation, guidance. Even without instruction, it is building a foundation for others to thrive." Thera shimmered brightly. "It is civilization in its earliest form. And humans helped make this possible? Your kind is remarkable, Elias. You are a bridge not only between species, but between worlds." Elias smiled. "We didn't just make life survive. We taught it to adapt, to learn, to grow. That's the real achievement." As days turned to cycles, the hybrid grew larger and more complex. Its pulses became stronger, more purposeful, and it began to communicate in subtle ways with Elias, Kylan, and Thera. Tiny vibrations, shifts in energy, and rhythmic pulses conveyed information. Elias found he could understand it intuitively, a connection that grew stronger each day. "This connection, it feels alive," Elias said. "It's more than energy. It's understanding, trust, maybe even friendship." Kylan and Thera exchanged glances. "Perhaps life itself is teaching us what we could not have known," Kylan said softly. "That trust, cooperation, and understanding are as vital as technology or power." Elias nodded. "That's humanity's strength. We thrive not because we are the strongest, but because we adapt, learn, and work together. That's what makes life possible anywhere." As the hybrid expanded further, Elias realized that the project had become bigger than any of them had imagined. It was no longer just an experiment. It was a living, breathing ecosystem, a new civilization capable of growth and learning, and humanity had played a crucial role in making it happen. The Lyran and Xanthari councils sent emissaries to the planet, arriving cautiously. They observed the hybrid and its environment, and for the first time, they saw the results of true collaboration. No one species had dominated. No one method had prevailed alone. Instead, life had flourished because differences were embraced and combined. Kylan addressed the emissaries. "Observe this. It is proof that cooperation and adaptability can create life where none seemed possible. And recognize the human who guided this process. Elias of Earth has shown that your species is capable of innovation, courage, and insight." Thera pulsed in agreement. "Let this hybrid be a symbol of unity, a reminder that life thrives when knowledge, creativity, and courage come together. Elias stood beside the hybrid, feeling the planet's energy pulse around him. He realized that humans had done more than assist. They had contributed something unique to the galaxy, the ability to unite, adapt, and create in ways no other species could. Here, on this distant world, humanity had proven its worth. The hybrid pulsed brightly, almost as if acknowledging Elias personally. It moved forward, exploring further, its energy harmonizing with the planet and the native creatures. Elias knew that this was just the beginning. The hybrid would continue to grow, interact with new life, and perhaps one day become a fully independent civilization. Kylan and Thera watched silently, their expressions filled with admiration and quiet wonder. "The human has changed our understanding," Kylan said softly. "Your kind will shape the future in ways we cannot yet imagine." Thera shimmered in agreement. In the hybrid, it carries that lesson forward. Life, creativity, and cooperation are now intertwined in ways that none of us could have achieved alone. Elias smiled faintly, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy not as conquerors, not as imitators, but as creators, innovators, and bridges between worlds. And here, on this exoplanet, he had proved that humans could achieve the impossible when they chose to work together. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting pale light across the plateau, Elias looked at the hybrid and the thriving ecosystem it had helped nurture. Life was everywhere now, moving, adapting, learning. And in the middle of it all stood a human who had believed in unity, creativity, and courage. "This is what we were meant to do," he said quietly. "Not just survive, but help life grow. Not just exist, but create, connect, and inspire." The hybrid pulsed one final time for the morning cycle, its energy bright and steady. Elias felt a warmth in his chest, a quiet certainty that humanity's future in the galaxy was secure not through force, but through ingenuity, collaboration, the courage to believe in the impossible. And as he watched the hybrid move forward into the vast landscape, Elias knew that this was only the beginning. New life, new civilizations, and new opportunities awaited. Humanity had arrived. It would shape the stars in ways no one could have predicted, because humans were not just survivors. Humans were creators, and the galaxy would remember it.